Good. Thank you. You know, one thing I can say about this thing here,
It's actually the subdivision here. This is existing.
yeah,
This is Tuscany.
right.
This is the school. That's where there's
That's
a new subdivision. And this is Emerald Bridge on the other side.
What's that? We're recording. I'm out of here. Okay.
Excuse me, may I have one attention?
laid out.
Excuse me. Hello? Excuse me. Anybody wishing to speak on the three cases, there's sign-up sheets here if you wish to speak during the public hearing portion. So if you're here for one of the three cases, please come up and sign in for speaking.
That's basically the subdivision.
And they're complaining about this entrance here.
For the most part, I think there's ways to control traffic.
Yeah.
We need to emergency services, bus services.
Actually, thought the subdivision here.
Not yet. I think down here,
Man,
people with
Full house, huh?
went
Yeah.
number
Vacation.
also don't have it.
There, yeah,
Boy,
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I see.
That's still kind of
yeah.
awesome,
And open.
but they need a special.
I'm a paper guy.
Yeah.
These
No problem.
Man, I'm all paper.
It had some different.
I love paper.
I really
I think we're all.
I do too.
I think it's an age thing, you know. I printed.
Are they all the same?
They're all different. This one is for the other. This is saying that this is about this neighborhood.
Where's
Yeah,
Emerald Bridge?
Sidewalks. That's for
You
the
get one for Emerald.
You're gonna want one of these. Probably but we're not sure which one is which. Not helpful.
Well,
It's just this case number, and I'm not sure.
they're gonna
You can
have,
ask.
and,
We're trying to figure out which case number is which on here.
Which case are you for?
Well, one is just about the Diana subdivision.
Yeah.
That's
It is
one
case
regarding the sidewalks
ends in 16 and 6. There's two,
in the
and 6. It's 16.
Is the sidewalk?
Yeah, 16.
So I want this one. What about you? Which one are you looking for?
Well,
So you want that? Are you worried about the sidewalks? Right. You don't care about the sidewalks. You're talking about the neighborhood development.
well, see, they want to put sidewalks on my property. That's
Oh, then you want so you want this one? We'll switch you.
There's connectivity here, right?
yes.
Wrong way in the line.
They want to go all the way through discussion.
Mhm.
Which probably are really necessary. They do need to have kids from without because you're going to cross the street.
Yeah.
Hope they don't call us
Well, this is a
Yes.
Now, which one do they need to do? There are two here. For the east side. The minimum external pedestrian network standards. I'm thinking it's probably.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because it is this plan doesn't work. It doesn't accept it.
Huh?
That's not.
That's fine with me. I don't know.
It's not.
Which one is?
Oh, look at all these smiling faces. Yeah.
Well, this is both of these are actually on the east side of 100 West.
Okay.
Okay, this one looked like it.
Which one's the data centers?
The data center is
Last call. Anybody wish to speak on the three
No.
on the agenda tonight? Come to the front and sign in.
Yeah. Okay, you're fine. Okay.
You want to sign these? Oh, you're not signing. These are the three cases.
Oh, it's for the this is not the
Nope.
comprehensive plan process.
You know, we first looked at it properly.
Good evening, folks. I could call the meeting to order. And the first item is a pledge. If you all could stand up and recite the pledge, please.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is roll call.
Give me a moment.
Okay.
Kevin Brightsky.
Here.
Bob Gilliana.
Here.
Craig Kenworthy.
Present.
Pamela Mishler-Fish. Ed Morales.
Here.
Craig. Red Stone.
Here.
Luther Williams.
Here.
Nikki Witkowski. Rick Burns.
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item, I'd like to call on the county attorney, Scott McClure. He has a statement to read.
Good evening, everyone. I believe this is on the back podium. Tonight's regular scheduled Plan Commission meeting does not include the proposed data center project on the agenda, as the project is not yet ready for formal review. Because the proposal is not under consideration as an agenda item, public comment on the data center will be not taken this evening. We understand the community's strong interest in this project and appreciate your continued involvement. However, it is important that the Plan Commission members remain impartial and fully informed before hearing testimony on a proposal before it is formally placed on an agenda. To make sure residents have a chance to be heard, the county is planning a special community informational meeting focused entirely on the proposed data center. This meeting will be scheduled before the formal Plan Commission zoning review public hearing process begins. The date, time, and location will be announced publicly once confirmed. This will give residents a chance to hear from the petitioner and learn about the proposal. Offer a forum to ask questions and share early feedback. Be held in a space that can accommodate a large crowd with plenty of advance notice. Not include any formal action or votes by county officials. In addition to this opportunity for a special community meeting, the public may continue to communicate with their elected commissioners. The county remains committed to an open and respectful process. We value your input and want to provide a proper time and place for public comment. Thank you for your understanding and continued participation.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, the first case is V0E2025-12. Applicant is Brenda N. Deal, care of Christopher M. Piaski. Subdivision is Hillcrest Park. Location is 5702 Granville Avenue, Valparaiso, Center Township. Zoning is RL, Residential Lake District, and request is to vacate the easement between two parcels. Have a seat and state your name and address first and your request.
Hello,
Hi, how you doing? That's okay. Take your time.
Brenda Deal.
Speak a little bit closer. Bring that speaker to you. Yes.
Brenda Deal,
Thank you. Okay.
5702 Grandview Avenue,
Okay.
Valparaiso.
And you're requesting?
To vacate the right of way,
Yeah. Okay. For what reason?
encroachment, my shed's on it.
Okay. All right. That's all. That's all you have. Okay. So the shed's on the easement, so we
And
understand.
part of my house
Okay.
that was built in 1989.
1989. Okay.
Mr. President, staff would provide some clarity, if you wish, to assist the petitioner.
I'm sorry.
We could provide some clarity.
If you can, please. Okay.
So, as she stated, the garage, the barn, and part of the house, it appears from the GIS, not a survey, seems to suggest the right-of-way was platted in 1914, as you see in the staff report. No road has been built in all that time. Recent discovery is we believe there might be a water main in there. We reached out to Valparaiso Lakes Area Conservancy District. You have a letter from them in on your pile there. It seems that vacation of the right-of-way would not be the proper thing. The conditions we gave to you in the letter was they need to talk to their other neighbor to the south because they split the right-of-way if it was to be vacated, unless he wished to cede control to her. And second, we want a survey, a legal survey, so we knew what the boundaries were of that split. And so in light of the possibility of a water main there, plus VLACD wishing to use it for utilities in the future, we offer a compromise, and I talked to the county surveyor about this as well, that maybe we can give them an encroachment agreement to suit their purposes for their financing and things like that. Regardless of which way we go, it would have to be some kind of form of ordinance sent to the commissioners for their approval. Your recommendations would be suggestions to the commissioners.
Okay. Okay. It's a public hearing. You want to read the rules of conduct, please?
Certainly. Conduct of hearings. At a public hearing before the commission, the petitioner and proponents shall first present the facts and arguments in support of the case. Those who oppose the petitioner shall follow. The petitioner shall have a rebuttal. It shall be within the discretion of the commission to pose any time limitation, either the petitioner or the respondent, and to limit public comments to those determined by state statute to be interested parties. Written remonstrances shall be accepted by the commission but need not be read into the commission record. This then concludes the public hearing. To maintain orderly procedure, each side shall proceed without interruption by the other. In presentation of a case, the burden shall be upon the petitioner to supply all information necessary for a clear understanding of the problem. The commission may continue the hearing when, in its judgment, the petitioner has not provided sufficient evidence on which to make a determination. Every person appearing before the commissioner shall abide by the order and direction of the president. Discourteous, disorderly, contemptuous conduct shall be regarded as a breach of the privileges of the commission and should be dealt with as the commissioner. And to answer that you did and all the commission members received all written correspondence, if any, prior to the meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Just for clarity, another clarity question. Just came up because the petitioner's ready to sell her house. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it just came up. Okay. Again, it's a public hearing. Anybody want to speak in favor of this case? In favor? Seeing none. Anybody want to speak against or have any questions on this case? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Luther?
Do we know for sure that there is or is not a water line in that, I guess, easement in the space?
We called the place to have them come and mark everything, but nothing was ever marked. Like the NIPSCO went out there, water
811.
the 811, and there was no flags of any marking over there.
I think, Mike, you just shed a little bit light on this. What's the plan? They're going to come out and survey it?
Well, the Valpo Lakes Area Conservancy District seems to suggest we found a map that showed an old 8-inch water main in there. We don't know if it exists or not. Second, I think there's a letter I left on your desk space from VLACD, did I not?
Mhm.
And they said they would like continued interest in that right away, so as they do their water system and sewer system, that be available. And maybe Kevin can shed some light, being a surveyor, that maybe a better approach would be to offer an encroachment agreement so they can tidy things up.
And that's what I discussed with Mike. The
Like,
importance of having this available for future utilities or for the existing utility for you and your neighbors is pretty important. And with a consent to encroach, we would do it for the existing buildings and appurtenance at this time. So, just for clarity, it's right away, not easement. It'd be a violation of the easement if it were, and that'd be easier to resolve. However, because it's right away, the utilities have expectation for continued use, and I think we can resolve your issue with the consent to encroach.
Okay. Red, any questions?
Yeah, great first meeting, by the way. Thank you. It's my first meeting. I was the council appointee, so this is the first meeting I come to. So this is a good one.
Mine too.
I do have a couple questions. I read through all my materials. I didn't get a chance to go out to the subdivision today. I was running late from work. I just got the materials yesterday. But on the vacation, so that was platted out. Was that originally going to be a road,
Well, I think an
alleyway, or a road?
or utility.
So my question is the utilities. There has to be title work that says that so it is a utility easement right now, or
The record, no, it's not an easement. It's actually
your
a title
utilities.
right away that's dedicated to the public on the plat.
Okay.
So if it were a utility, the landowners would actually own the land under it, subject to easement. In this case, it's actually property that the public owns through the county commissioners. It's a deed of dedication.
Okay. I guess what I'm trying to say is I've had pipelines run through property. I've had farms, and when they have their easements, it's I bought a barn. No one knew. The farmer moved the post, and my barn was right on the pipeline. The guy tells me, "Hey, by the way, your barn's on the pipeline." They can get pretty, they're serious with those easements. Is that one of those? Is that one of these easements here that we're looking at, or no? Like a utility easement where from here to here, they're going to be strict and say, if we have to move that shed, she's going to have to move that shed, or?
Well, because it's right away, yeah, they could do that, but usually the utilities look for ways to work around or do their construction not to impact
that.
structures.
So, with your suggestion, would that help alleviate her being able to sell? I mean, would that help her sell her house? Would that give her people a little bit of comfort?
Well, I think that's probably about the only way to go, because our utility says they want that to be protected.
If I may say something.
Mm-hmm.
So the person that's interested, she was freaking out because she's afraid she's going to wake up one morning and they're a bulldozing it and they're going to build a road. And I told her, no, that's not going to happen. I said, I promise you that's not going to happen. Where's it? There's nowhere for it to go except the lake.
Right.
Correct. That actually kind of dead ends behind you in both directions.
Right.
Well, no.
Right.
And as far as I know, those are private roads behind you.
They are.
The county's not going to construct it. And
I mean, she doesn't plan on building anything either. It's just, she just didn't want to wake up and they're building a road out there.
It would take permission from the county commissioners if they're going to construct something within that.
Okay.
Okay, let's proceed. Okay, that's it, right?
Yeah, for right now.
Okay, great.
My greatest concern is when you called in locates, they gave you a number, locate number.
I wasn't even there when they came out.
Who called in the?
I called 811.
Did they give you a number?
No.
They did not give you a locate number.
No.
Because usually when you call in locates, you get a locate number, and they come out whether there's utilities under the ground there or not. they will mark the ground. This is my concern. It's not so much, my concern is where that water main, if it does exist, where it goes through at, and how far into your property it may be. So without knowing that, or if it's there or not, where do we give, and I don't know this, where do we give the easement or whatever that
Well,
your relief you're talking about to them, and know that we're in the right area and we're not saying you can use this, but now all of a sudden you got a water line runs on the shed. That's my concern. And I don't know if that's part of the thing here, but
well, yeah,
They
they're-
did mark in our actual yard. They didn't mark for the right of way that we're asking about. They're saying that there's nothing there.
they did not mark a branch in going through that
They
easement.
they put flags in our yard, stuck in the ground, and a few marks of spray paint, but it was within our current property, not anywhere in that right of way.
Okay, that was my concern, because if it's there, we gotta be concerned about it. But
Sure.
if they did mark it, and they were out there and did not mark it, then you good?
Yeah, no, they did it in our property.
Okay, that's my only concern.
Bob,
I have nothing right now.
Commissioner?
No, I mean, Craig answered what I was going to ask. I mean, was there a pipe there? You know, so at this point, it doesn't appear to be. And I understand they want to sell their house, and the new owner wants to feel comfortable with what's going on here. So, you know, I'm just waiting to hear what's the right step to take, what direction you want to go.
I think the direction is continue the case. Is that correct, Bob? And get
We were talking over here, maybe a suggestion is that you can approve based on certain conditions. The first condition is make sure it's accurately located for any water mains. We can work with them with the utility. And second, that they get us a legal description describing something that would be a document for an encroachment agreement. And if they pass step one, they can go to step two. I think that would satisfy the case.
Okay, gotcha.
And then that would be a recommendation to the commissioners. They would have to get that all done before appearing before the commissioners.
I do have one comment. The shed that's there, could that be moved to solve the issue out of the right of way?
I mean, you can't clearly see it in this picture, but yes, it can.
Uh-huh.
But I was going to ask, how is that shed able to be put there in the first place when we had a permit? Somebody had to have done the survey or whatever with it, knowing that this was going to be an issue. But there's landscape, big boulders all around it. There's boulders all around it. Could it be moved?
But the office does not do the survey for your accessory structures. You know, for the house, we take a very keen interest in. But it's the burden of the homeowner to make sure that they know where their property lines are.
Am I seeing the house?
The house is on it too.
Is on it too?
Yeah.
That's my question. When was the house built?
89.
89?
And to be clear, as Mike pointed out, the GIS is
Is
exact.
yeah, right,
Could be several feet off,
right.
but typically, you know, it's close enough that
Yeah.
they're concerned, and they really need to have a surveyor go out there and verify its location. At the very least, get a surveyor location report, but actually a boundary survey would be better, because what we're kind of suggesting, or we're suggesting, you do have somebody do a legal description for the shed and house if there is an encroachment, so that identifies those separately.
That's what I would do.
Kevin, want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that, we would be denying the vacation, making a recommendation for denying the vacation first of all. So should we make two motions? Scott?
Scott, attorney, can we make two motions?
We can make two motions, but let's start with the approval motion first and then move to the agenda item if we're not going to be approving it as on the agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, so a motion to deny the vacation.
No.
Let's start with whatever motion you're intending to make to approve.
approve.
And then we'll have a second motion
Oh,
to clean up what's remaining.
okay. I'll make a motion that we recommend consent to encroach for the existing buildings, the shed, the house, and anything appurtenant to them within our right-of-way. Have a legal description prepared by a land surveyor specific to those for the consent to encroach agreement.
Okay, do we have,
And if I
I'll
might
second.
suggest,
do we have,
add to that motion to also verify with the utility.
Yes, well,
okay,
I'll add that to the motion to verify the utility, specifically
Just-
the water company, but any other utility that may be there, because
does the second agree?
Yes, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is this ballot vote or voice vote?
yeah. And for the purpose of the discussion, when you call the 811 locates, it sounds like they just understood for the front of your house. You've got to identify exactly where you want
I
them
did.
to be done.
And get your locate number right. They'll give you a number that way we can verify that you did get the locate.
Okay.
Please.
But regardless, the water company wants that right away for their purpose.
Since this is a recommendation, we don't have the ballots specifically for that motion. We have it for the others. We can do this as a voice vote, Mr. President, since it's simply a recommendation to the commissioners.
Voice vote, okay.
So, you can call the roll. Kevin Brightsky,
Yes.
Bob Gilliano,
Yes.
Craig Kenworthy,
Yes.
Ed Morales,
Yes.
Red Stone,
Yes.
Luther Williams,
Yes.
Rick Byrne.
Yes,
Passes 7-0.
thank you. Okay, well, we'll make a motion to deny the easement, Kevin.
Do you need a motion to deny?
Do we,
Yeah.
yeah, to vacate.
I'll make a motion to make a recommendation to deny the vacation of the right of way.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second. Voice vote again.
Rick Burns,
Yes,
Luther Williams,
Yes.
Red Stone,
Yes.
Ed Morales,
Yes.
Craig Kenworthy,
Yes.
Bob Gilliano,
Yes.
Kevin Brightsky.
Yes.
Motion passes to deny 7-0.
okay, thank you. Okay, all set.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, next case is DW 2025-16. Applicant is Haven Holdings LLC. Attorney Todd A. Leith, Leith Law Firm. Location east side of 100 West between State Road 2 and Carlisle Lane, Valparaiso, Center Township. Zonings R1, low density single family residential district. Request to waive the minimum external pedestrian network standard outlined in ordinance 7.23C of the Porter County UDO Unified Development Ordinance.
Right. How about?
There.
Good evening. My name is Todd Leith. I'm the attorney for the petitioner in this matter. I'm joined tonight by Doug from DVG team, who is the design professional for this project. We're here tonight to talk about two things. I'm going to talk about them both. Design waiver that leads into a primary plat for a subdivision. There's two cases on your agenda. We'll present both, and then you can consider or vote on them separately. That's kind of the way we've done that in the past.
That's fine.
So with that, let me kind of walk you through what we're here tonight for. Sienna subdivision is 76 lots. It's on just shy of 39 acres. The project is served by Valparaiso City Utilities, both for sewer and for water. So to orient you, this is the subject property, the 39 acres. I'll have another slide that's going to help us a little bit. The zoning is R1 under your zoning classification, as you can see, with the exception of the blue parcel, which is the Valparaiso Elementary School on Haviland Road, Haviland Elementary. Pretty much everything around there is zoned R1. The red up on Highway 2 to the north and west of us is Reed's Nursery. And so to orient you, again, the red box is our 39 acres approximately. Tuscany subdivision lies to our east. Emerald Ridge is on the opposite side of County Road 100 West, forms our western boundary. And the school you can see from the aerial is there as well. Two approvals we're seeking tonight. First is the primary plat for that 76 lot. And then the second request that we have is a waiver, a design waiver. Feels like a variance. It's a request to eliminate the requirement to have a sidewalk along County Road 100 West. Not for any sidewalks within the subdivision. We're going to build all of those throughout, just as the code requires. We just don't want to build a sidewalk along County Road 100 West. This is the subdivision plat, and you can see our internal roadway. Again, the western boundary is County Road 100 West, and that's where we're asking for the relief. Sorry. This is a photograph of County Road 100 West looking north from the entrance to Emerald Ridge. And we're going to have an entrance there on the right. That's our property. You can see there's no sidewalks anywhere, including along Emerald Ridge. So when Emerald Ridge was built, they didn't put sidewalks on County Road 100 West either. So we would like relief not to have to do that. Back to our subdivision. With that said, not doing the sidewalk on County Road 100 West, everything in this subdivision, all of the geometry, all of the lot sizes, all of the design standards that the DVG team has put onto this plat comply with 100% the Unified Development without any variances or anything. Again, save that one variance that we're asking for, or design waiver. As you all know, when we file a petition, DVG has to submit that to the county engineering department. They took 4 reviews to work out some of the questions, make sure that the engineering department here, the stormwater management team, was satisfied that all of the drainage, all of the geometry, all of the details were to their liking and consistent with the code. And this letter, dated January 17th of this year, says that. It's an okie dokie, if you will. And this is the magic letter that tells us that we're ready to come here and have this public hearing. So again, it meets all of the criteria of your code. So with that, Doug and I are happy to answer any questions that you might have, or that those that come from the public hearing. Thank you.
Okay. Well, as you know, it's a public hearing. Anybody want to speak in favor of this case? In favor? Seeing none. Are you in favor? Okay. Okay. The microphone's there. If you can stand up and state your name and address first. Right in front of you.
Right up.
Right there.
Yes.
There you go.
I have no objection to the design.
Okay. Your name and address, please. we're recording this. We have to get everybody's name and address.
My name is Dorothy Kraus. I live at 2051 Carlisle Lane,
Thank you.
just right across the street from Haven.
Okay.
And I have no objection to the design waiver to waive the minimum external pedestrian network standard. However, when I was talking to Michael Jabo, he mentioned something about putting sidewalks on my corner, Carlisle and 100 West.
Yeah.
And I would have an objection to that. And that's under ordinance 7.23 sub C sub 3. And it says generally all required sidewalks or paths shall be located inside the right of way of the perimeter street. But if utility poles, trees, or other physical characteristics dissuades or complicates installation, then the sidewalk or path may encroach into the perimeter landscaping (parentheses common area). I want to make sure because
Okay.
sidewalk would be put on my corner.
Okay. Your questions will be answered at the end. So, ask your questions. Maybe answer later.
And I don't know how serious these attorneys are in pursuing that matter. I can go further.
Okay. You will have an answer later. Okay. We're gonna get everybody's questions, and then you have the answers at the end. So you have any more questions for?
Well,
Yeah.
continue with my remarks here.
Okay.
And I'm talking about the proposed extended sidewalk. This is what Haven's developer wants to put a sidewalk on the corner of Carlisle and 100. This proposed extended Emerald Ridge sidewalk will not interface with another sidewalk across Highway 100 West. That's Haven's design waiver request not to put in a north-south sidewalk along 100 West. The proposed Emerald Ridge extended sidewalk along 100 West will interface with Sienna's roadway, I understand, called Lambrusco, forcing pedestrians to navigate traffic entering and exiting Sienna, also navigating the traffic entering and exiting Carlisle Lane. This proposed sidewalk will also be in the right turn lane for vehicles exiting Carlisle, turning south onto Highway 100 West. If Haven and Porter County are endorsing that a sidewalk is safe at that location for pedestrians to cross, I would suggest otherwise. Vehicles, trucks, semis speed along 100 West at 60 miles per hour to the point that the Porter County Sheriff has posted a warning sign for speeders. This design waiver submitted by Haven for this proposed sidewalk extension in Emerald Ridge gives a pedestrian, heaven forbid a family with a baby stroller or wheelchair, a false sense of security that it's okay to cross 100 West at that location. It would be a crossing where pedestrians need to run, not walk. And who bears the liability for this design if someone is injured or killed crossing 100 West at this location? Emerald Ridge, the homeowners, the HOA, the county, Haven. Already existing on my corner is Frontier's buried storage box containing its fiber optics servicing this area. Frontier also has a 20-foot utility easement along Highway 100 West. Also, fire hydrant, storm sewer, grate. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
If they're not serious about it, that's fine. But if they want to use my corner is private property. It's not common area.
Okay.
I would object to that. And just so that my objection is on record.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. Anybody else want to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. No.
There.
Okay, next. Okay. People that want to speak against or have any questions? Yes, sir. Before we get started, how many people want to speak tonight? Raise. Okay. I'm going to put 2-minute limit on speaking. Otherwise, we're going to be here very, very late. And 2 minutes. Thank you. State your name and address, please.
My name is Stephen Green. My address is 1455 Treviso Bay Drive, Valparaiso, and that is in the Tuscany subdivision.
Okay.
And my first question is, the way I read this map, there's really only 2 exits and entrances into the subdivision. The other 2 that look like they're exits are really closed off roads. Is that correct? That's my first question.
Again, your questions will be answered at the end.
Okay. If that is the case, you're creating a very dangerous situation, only having 2 entrances and exits out of that subdivision. The main one being Tuscany subdivision, because if all those kids that living in that one subdivision go to Haviland School, there's going to be a traffic jam all the way up in Tuscany subdivision getting those kids to school. There's already a problem with traffic, as when school opens and closes, you've got cars parked all the way in the subdivision trying to pick up their kids. There needs to be many more exits from 100 West in order to safely get those kids picked up and from school.
Thank you.
Okay. That's my comments.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
We did have one individual, William Johnson.
She's ready. Oh, okay, you're fine.
William Johnson, 2855 Cameron Place, Valparaiso, Indiana. I live the second house at Emerald Ridge on 100 West. You need to put either a stop sign there on Carlisle, because like Dorothy said, them cars go 60 to 70 miles an hour down 100 West. With everybody flowing out of that new subdivision, it's going to be a traffic jam in Emerald Ridge also. So, also, they've already put a dirt mound right behind my house. When is that going to go away? I mean, kids are using it to go down bobsledding. There's motorcycles going up there. What does it take? I don't understand. That's my comment.
All right, thank you. Miss, you must speak.
Lindy Walton. I'm from the Tuscany neighborhood, 1453 Treviso Bay Drive. First, can everybody from Tuscany stand? I'm probably going to speak on behalf of all of them. Hopefully this will eliminate some of the people that need to speak. Okay, so dear decision makers, community leaders, we the residents of Tuscany would like to express our heartfelt gratitude for the opportunity to voice our concerns regarding the proposed Sienna subdivision. Our neighborhood is home to many active families who deeply respect and enjoy the peaceful environment we have created. We cherish our close-knit community and its safety, and we are excited to welcome new families to the area. However, we feel it is important to share some critical concerns about the potential impact the connection to the Sienna subdivision could have on our community, especially in terms of safety, traffic, noise, and property values. While we understand the inlet stalled for growth in 2007, Haviland Elementary School did not exist at this time, nor was all of the land for the school owned by the school corporation until 2015 negotiations. The addition of the school after Tuscany's existence has changed the dynamic of our neighborhood. It created a heavily desired destination within the community right at the entrance of where we live. This brings me to our first concern, which is the safety of our children. Tuscany is home to over 40 children who attend the local public school system. The majority of these children walk to elementary school. Due to the lack of bus transportation, walking is their only option to get to school. Our children range from kindergarten to fifth. They walk daily as part of their routine. Some of these students walk directly on Haviland Road to attend school, as we have no frontage sidewalk. We would like one. During these commutes and in the afternoons, drivers in our neighborhood are extremely alert and in anticipation of children running off sidewalks, playing in the streets, and darting across yards. The introduction of additional traffic from the new subdivision would increase the risks of a child or pedestrian injury significantly. We anticipate through conversations with families that we know in Emerald Ridge that both Sienna families and those living in Emerald Ridge will use Tuscany and Sienna to commute through the neighborhoods to get to the Heveland School. This doesn't work out for either community. The traffic demands from Heveland School in our area had an impact so great that they actually changed Route 2 to accommodate traffic. We feel Tuscany will be the next location in Valparaiso looking for traffic control and remediations if these neighborhoods do connect. With the increased traffic will come noise as well. We are a quiet, peaceful neighborhood with little outside traffic. The increase in cars would not only pose a safety risk to the children, but would bring a great deal of noise that disrupts the tranquility of our community. Many of our families, including mine, chose Tuscany for its peaceful and quiet environment. We need little to no police presence in our neighborhood due to the incredibly manageable traffic and little to no outside disruptions. We have two entrances both on Heveland Road. This makes our community less desirable to drive through because you're not going to get anywhere. The other concern for some of the residents is the potential to devalue our property. Tuscany is a mature neighborhood with established homes. Some home prices value at over $700,000. Our residents and HOA work hard to ensure that our neighborhood holds its character and value. We as homeowners have invested significantly in our properties. With increased traffic, noise, and the connection to a lower quality housing development, this could lead to a decrease in our home values. We have a right to protect our investments, and any alteration to the character of our neighborhood, particularly one that brings more traffic and changes the peaceful environment that we moved here for, would have detrimental impacts. The construction traffic and wear on our streets is a concern. If you drive through Iron Gate right now, you'd see what I'm talking about. Their streets are covered in mud and debris. Nail in a tire might seem insignificant to some, but in a family vehicle, that's your only transportation. That's a cost that family can't have. But the last thing I would like to propose is we have alternatives that we would like to suggest. That we understand the growth is inevitable, and we urge the decision makers to consider alternatives to connecting our streets to Sienna. We request that only the sidewalks be installed and connected between the neighborhoods. This would allow Sienna children to walk to school safely without increasing the street traffic. It will deter Emerald Ridge families from entering both Sienna and Tuscany on their route to school. Valparaiso will not have to provide transportation to the families if the sidewalks connect, which would cause no additional monies to be spent on school transportation. We could also explore the option of a walking path directly from Sienna to the backside of Heveland's property, where their kids can, have a shorter distance to walk. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
Thank you. I'm Mark D. St. Jean. I live at 2756 Bonita Drive in Tuscany. Lindy kind of nailed pretty much everything for us, but above anything else, by far, this is about the safety of our kids. You're taking a cul-de-sac type of subdivision and you're opening it up to a thoroughway. I would ask anybody to go over to Essex Park or Heritage Valley and ask them about the safety, because those roads are just complete pass-throughs. I'm guilty too, but those people pass that nonstop, and the safety issue is enormously. We have just under 80 homes. We're not opening that up to Sienna. We're opening up 300 homes among two subdivisions to pass through our neighborhood, because it's 225-ish in Emerald Ridge, 76 in the new proposed subdivision. That doesn't include all the other ancillary areas around there. Or I'll drive all the roundabouts in the world. There's a lot of people that don't want a roundabout. What about all the other people that deviate the roundabout and cut through there just because they don't like the roundabout? It's scary how much risk is added to our kids. That's a lot of traffic, and we are a cul-de-sac. That's kind of what our neighborhood is, and it also will depreciate value because that benefit's no longer there. So we have cut-in roads. I don't see why they need to use, because Sienna's got two cut-in roads. They have one in the north, one in the south. Those aren't to be utilized. Why does ours have to? I agree with Lindy that we just run a sidewalk through, and there has to be another way of going in and out. We have 2 entrances on our main road on Heveland. They can have 2 entrances on 100. But to run through our neighborhood like that and allow that for our kids, there are 50 plus kids that are at school age in our neighborhood. 50. We have just under 80 homes. Yeah, it's scary as a homeowner to think that that would open up and be allowed to have 300 plus homes just among 2 subdivisions. So, I think that's it. Anything else?
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
What's happening here is the first case for Haven Homes is a design waiver. The second case is the primary plat.
Yeah.
The two are getting mixed up, and talking with the county attorney, I think you need to let the record reflect that this hearing is hearing both of them.
Yeah. Oh, so
that
both,
we don't have
both at the same time?
Both at the same time. So if the president wishes that to happen, just please.
That's fine.
So,
I'm going to read the second case, which is MJ2024-6, applicant Haven Holdings LLC, care of attorney Todd A. Leith of Leith Law Firm, location east side of 100 West between State Road 2 and Carlisle Lane, Valparaiso, Indiana, Center Township, zonings R1, low density single family residential district, request primary plat approval for standard major subdivision, a 76 lot single family development.
My name is Megan Monacker. I also live in Tuscany. I'm at 2859 Bonita Drive. Lindy and Mark have touched on everything that we are concerned about is the safety of our children. I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old that ride their bikes, their scooters. We're talking about our most vulnerable age group on the roads every day to get to school because they depend on it. They don't have bus service. And they're also the kids that do not have street smarts, crossing the streets, being alert. It's scary. I just want to say that I don't see how not connecting these streets could not be a benefit for this developer, and how it could not show that they care about not only the safety of our neighborhood, but the safety of the kids in the Sienna neighborhood as well. Because it won't just be Tuscany being a drive-through neighborhood. This new neighborhood will also be drive-through, and we're worrying about all of those children as well. The neighborhood will be just as large as ours. We're talking about 100 kids trying to get to school through this neighborhood. And I just don't see why not making sure that we have a direct access route for those children on foot that does not involve speeding cars through traffic could not be a benefit for selling to their potential buyers.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to speak? Okay, sure.
Hi, I'm Donna Mull. I live at 1854 Callaway Court. I am going to address drainage because when Emerald Ridge went in, they told us there would be enough drainage, there wouldn't be a problem. And for 2 years, we had water flowing across 100 West through Metzger's farm, back behind our cul-de-sac, and it ends up in a small pond that does have a discharge. Now, that pond is now grown hugely in size, even though Miss Debbie has put in a larger discharge pipe, and it flows right through that property to the creek. You fill that drainage in. When are you putting all that? You're sitting there shaking.
Speak to,
there.
Questions to us. Okay.
The other thing is at least every other week, I see the county sewer department out working at Emerald Ridge's lift. You're going to put all of that more into that area. What's going to happen? It's not coming into my septic tank, I can tell you that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Meredith Miller. I also live in Tuscany, 1261 Veranda Drive. I've lived in Tuscany for 15 years. I have two children who are 15 and 13. They've been able to enjoy a safe and quiet neighborhood. It's the only home they've known. And I can say that what we're asking by not allowing this traffic to go through is it's no inconvenience to the new residents of this subdivision or of Emerald Ridge. But what it is doing is preserving the safety of these kids that live in our neighborhood. So, we really ask that those in the authority consider really, what we can do here. I have also watched the Heritage Valley neighborhood really fight for the safety of their kids, as that thoroughway that can take us very easily from where we live to Straps and those areas over there. We've watched them put the flashing speed signs. There's just been a lot of fighting that they do for the safety of their kids. We have that safety, and we're just looking to preserve that and not have to fight for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Alex Meixer, also in Tuscany at 1351 Venetian Bay Drive. And I'm going to echo a lot of the comments, but just get specific about, what this looks like on a day-to-day basis, right? So I've got two boys, one 7, one 10. When the 7-year-old was going to kindergarten last year, we found out when he got to that first day of class that not only was he in that class, but another 6-year-old boy at that time next door was in the same class, and another across the street from us, and another next door across the street. Plus, a 6-year-old girl had a corner through our backyard. That's a quick just image of what it's like, right? Which is to say, all these kids are running across the street, running through yards every day, all day. Certainly during summer, certainly on weekends, but during the weeks too. And you know how it is when you start driving a certain way, when you learn the fastest way to get somewhere. Regardless if you started going that way to get to school, you continue going that way to get to town, you continue going that way to get to the grocery store, wherever else you might be going. If we let, again, not only the new 76 homes of Sienna, but also as Mark was saying, 220 plus homes, that's a very small portion of Emerald Ridge that is on these screens, all get used to going that way, to say nothing of anyone else that might live further down 100 or over on Division. Any of the folks that might find this way of getting around Route 2 a little bit easier, it is going to become the way of life for far too many folks, not just on school days, not just in the mornings, not just in the afternoons, but on weekends, over the summers, over Christmas break, etc., to drive that way. And we're not going to be able to let our kids run across the street to visit their friends, go biking around the block, play catch, play basketball in the stub cul-de-sacs, etc. That part of our neighborhood will be gone. And that's part of what brought us to that neighborhood. We wanted that for our kids. I know my neighbors did too. So I think the suggestion of allowing sidewalks through, so our kids in our neighborhood can make friends with the kids in the new neighborhood, that's terrific, that's perfect. But let's not add auto traffic to what is, really right now an ideal situation.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Janice Denham. I live at 2955 100 West. I'm at the corner at the top of the hill at the proposed subdivision. I have some concerns about the storm water. I brought pictures along of what my yard looks like whenever it rains, when the water flows down.
Okay, thank you.
Water flows down the road, my driveway, and right into the field out of the yard there. And I noticed on the drawings that there's a proposed, looks like a berm with trees on it, on the 30-foot easement. And I'm just concerned that where's that water going to drain? Because it drains right into the field. And my family's been there since 1975. So it's always drained that way.
Okay.
There's actually like an underground creek that runs underneath that field. I've been out there and played out there my whole life. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else want to speak? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to turn back over to the attorney.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to try and rather than address each comment, kind of group them into topics. So the first one has to do with the crosswalk at Carlisle and our entrance on County Road 100 West. We're not proposing a crosswalk. However, I do know that your staff report has suggested and staff is recommending a crosswalk there. That is to assuage the concern of the reduction or elimination of the sidewalk along County Road 100 West. So because that is our only ask, if you will, or discretionary request of you tonight, staff is suggesting that there be a crosswalk there, to which we are not objecting to that condition. But please know the crosswalk is not our suggestion and it's not on our plans. But we are willing to, with approval, have that a condition of your approval to the design waiver to eliminate the sidewalk. We will put in the crosswalk as suggested in the staff report. The suggestion that we only had 2 entrances to our development is accurate. We have one on the county road, the main entrance, and the connection to Tuscany in the rear of the subdivision. We show that for the second entrance, which is generally required by your ordinance. Matter of fact, your ordinance, as I indicated, is met in all respects because we have that connection. When Tuscany subdivision, and I represented the developer of that many months or many years ago, rather, when that was platted, this stub road was created to the property line for the very purpose that when this property, the subject property of your case tonight, was developed, that this would be a connection to satisfy the long-standing process that subdivisions are interconnected for traffic movement and for many other reasons. One of those reasons is subdivisions require 2 entrances for public safety reasons. If our entrance is blocked on County Road 100 West, for example, a tree falls during a tornado, and there's an ambulance required to our 76 residents, they can't get in if there's no second entrance. So that's one of the reasons why your code requires 2 entrances to subdivisions, and we have this. We designed the subdivision to comply with the code. We didn't choose to put a connection to Tuscany. The ordinance chose us to do that. The previous development of Tuscany with the plat of that stub road said where it was to go. So circumstances and law required my client and DVGT to design that subdivision just the way you see it today. We didn't choose to do that. Stormwater was another concern. There are over 11 acres of open space in this 39-acre subdivision, 28%. That's pretty significant. And within that 11 acres, there are 5 parcels of open space. Some of those are retention ponds.
Three large ponds.
And I'm going to turn it to Doug Reddick from DEP to answer the drainage questions. There were 2 of those.
Yes, we are aware there's a waterway that runs from south to north right through the middle of this property. We are keeping that intact. We are fully aware of it. Porter County's drainage ordinance is very robust. We work with the county engineer on our drainage plan and sizing our detention basins and making sure all the water from the south continues to drain through to the north. By putting in the detention basins, that only helps the situation. We are aware that there's an underground drain tile that will be removed once this is all said and done.
the water will flow kind of through the middle of the property into a large detention basin before it continues north. So there'll be restrictors in place, and the retention ponds will have ample room to store all the runoff. And again, it's been reviewed by David Champion, and we believe we've met the drainage ordinance, and David's letter says that as well. Regarding utilities, we are connecting to Valparaiso City Utilities for sanitary sewer and water main. I know there's a concern about the lift station in Emerald Ridge. That's right on 100 West. We contacted them early on in the design process, Valparaiso that is, and said, where do you want us to take our sewage? To the west or to the east? And they did a report, or study I should say, and they said Emerald Ridge is not well suited for it, so you will be connecting to Tuscany's sanitary sewer. So that was decided by Valparaiso Utilities. And we were able to serve about 80% of the subdivision, as I recall, with gravity sewer. There's still a few lots that we have to pump because the land is low, but that's pretty common to put in ejector pumps for some homes. So that's the plan there. We are connecting to both sewer and water, and we're connecting a water main loop from subdivision to subdivision, which helps water flow for the whole community. Again, that was required as well. So I believe we did everything Valpo City Utilities wants. We have their approval. We've really worked hard at getting our drainage plan to meet your ordinance, and it's a very, very robust ordinance. Probably one of the toughest ones in this area, but we've accomplished that as well. So I believe we're in good shape as far as drainage. We have our open space allotted, meeting the ordinance. So I think that's all I have right now.
Okay, thank you.
I think I've again touched on the topics rather than address each one of the comments. Many of the topics that had to do with the connection. Again, we didn't create the need for the connection. The ordinance does that. The location was dictated by the previous plating of Tuscany. I think we've responded as best as I can, and if we need to, we can certainly drill in and answer any specific questions.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate. I'm open back up to the public. Any new questions or questions that weren't answered? Yes, sir. Okay. New questions.
Not a new question, just a comment. He answered my question. There are only two entrances and exits in that subdivision, going from Emerald Ridge into their new subdivision into Tuscany. I'll tell you right now, I've been the provost marshal in Kitzingen, Germany, and in Fort Irwin, California. I was in charge of traffic flow and everything as that provost marshal. And you're asking for a disaster if you think you can get all the kids from Emerald Ridge through that subdivision into Tuscany and over to Haviland School. You're looking at an accident waiting to happen.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. New question.
My question is, like how we have two on Crystal Turnowski. I live in Tuscany, but we have two. Why can't you have two on 100? Because it would make more sense for an emergency vehicle to come down two or division instead of come through Tuscany.
Okay, thank you. Yes. State your name and address.
Hi, I'm Mark D. St. Jean, 2756 Bonita Drive. So I was going to say one thing what Crystal said, and I said before earlier. Okay, have two entrances. Put them on 100. That's what we have. We don't have them on both sides. We have them on one side. It's the same thing. We did choose to put the cut-in road in our neighborhood. It's your choice. It's not that it was made from an ordinance prior to that. And situations have changed also because the school was not there at that time also. The school's new, and that's one of the aspects of this whole conversation. So you say that we have to use that cut-in road because you didn't choose it. So you have two cut-in roads, one north, one south. So you're good if the subdivision goes there, right?
Sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Question to us.
So it's the same thing. You don't have to use that, or use that for your entrance out of there. Well, I'm not worried if they have to design it. I'm worried about, at the end of the day, it's about the safety of our children. And by doing that, whether you choose to use our county road or not, you are choosing to put our children at risk. You're choosing to put the Sienna children at risk too, because of all the people coming from the west to there, all going through there. So, yeah, use two entrances. I agree, but have them on one road.
Okay, thank you. Okay. State your name and address again.
Lindy Walton, 1453 Treviso Bay. I just want to note that I got involved in the HOA a year ago, and we have major water problems with our sewer in our community. I was speaking with Chelsea Gordon from the Stormwater Department, and essentially we were advised build a 3-year case. So we actually have photos where the stormwater drains are backing up to people's window wells. I mean, I'm talking 20, 25 feet up into people's yards. So we are actively building a case about how we already have an insufficient stormwater system because we were advised to do so. Our streets, when it rains heavily, the water just stays on the road because it can't come in. And then we just met last week, the HOA did that our stormwater retention ponds are actually caving in because of the influx of water and the deflux. And then the outlet that goes under Hevelin across to the property has also sunk in and caved, which is where our overflow goes. So I'm just incredibly nervous about that now that I think we're going to have a nightmare between the two subdivisions.
All right, thank you.
Dunham, 1854 Callaway Court. I just wanted to make a comment that it took 2 years for Emerald Ridge, after it was all built, to take care of the storm drainage that was coming across 100 West and down through. It then destroyed the drainage at the end of Callaway Court, and it took the county 3 or 4 years to get that fixed. They're having problems in Tuscany with water drainage. We're having problems on Callaway Court. Adding that much water drainage supposed to go north when there wasn't ever supposed to be any problems from Emerald Ridge really has me concerned. I mean, water seeps into houses, it destroys the foundation, it destroys basements, it destroys lives. Is there going to be an escrow held? And how much for any water damage that is done by adding all of this increased flow to anybody around? That is my comment and question.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Let him first.
Hi, Chris Barble, part of the subdivision Tuscany, 2755 Bonita. I can show you a little bit of the water that they were talking about. Goes there. See how bad it gets.
Okay.
I mean, that's our back property.
Okay. You show real quick. Just walk around real quick.
There you go. This is the water between our houses. And this is what we're talking about when we're concerned about drainage.
Thank you.
I actually have someone on a floaty.
Can I ask you a question?
Okay.
Yes.
That's it.
I didn't know. I didn't know what a relationship in this where that water was at. Just curious.
Okay, real quick. Yeah. Normally wait.
Everywhere, actually.
But right in that
Yes.
picture, I
That
want to know.
picture.
Probably right
It's
here, right?
right here.
That's what I thought.
Right
in this
here.
area.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. You're fine.
Thank you.
Yep.
I was just curious. Thank you.
Right there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, was that your question?
Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Sir, yes.
if I could, Mr. President,
Wait, one.
I'd like to note for the record at this point in time that the gentleman showed a photograph on his phone for the record that is not in the record. So I just want the record to reflect that piece of evidence is not in the record.
Thank you. Okay. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name's Robert Bober. I'm a resident of Emerald Ridge.
Speak to us, sir.
2151 Carlisle Lane. I have a 4-year-old and I have a 6-year-old, and I want to thank the developer. They had the most amazing winter with snow on top of that mountain.
Mm-hmm.
But what it does is it brings up an interesting question for us in Emerald Ridge. We've had no incentive to cross that road. And as everyone has identified, there has been a speed issue on there. When I accompanied my children onto the property and we went sledding, I felt like I was in a firing range coming down that road. Now we're introducing a crosswalk. We're increasing the risk of that intersection. Has there been a traffic study done? And what have been the mitigation recommendations to lower the risk that now we have an incentive for children, parents, the elderly that are in our neighborhood on crossing that? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
William Johnson, 2855 Cameron Place, Valparaiso. Again, like Robert said, if you put two entrances on Emerald Ridge, one's going to be on Carlisle and one would be on Aaron Quay, which are just a half, not even a quarter mile apart from each other. Because I walk that all the time. It's not very far, like people think it is, up by that map. It's not. So, again, what about if we're going to put a crosswalk in there? Don't you think we need a stop sign or a stoplight there? I mean, the water from 100 West has a 20% grade going down toward Emerald Ridge. I don't know if you've looked at that either, but it does.
Thank you. Okay. Any new question? New.
Alan Hughes. I live in Tuscany as well, 1352 Treviso Bay Drive. I just want to ask to clarify, you had mentioned both retention and detention ponds for the new subdivision. Can you clarify if you are putting both in or just one of which kind are you putting in? Because there's a difference between those technology. Obviously, what other people said.
Well, answer that.
We have a very serious water issue in our neighborhood. It's no different. It's all hard clay with a very little bit of sand on top, and the ground does not absorb the water. It's all runoff.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. No, you had your turn. I'm sorry. Okay, thanks.
Hello, Allison Kinder, 1353 Treviso Bay. I just wanted to make sure that everybody received all the letters also from neighbors that weren't able to come today regarding this issue. So I believe quite a few were sent. Okay. Okay, that's all. We want to make sure. Thank you.
They're part of the record. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to turn it back over to the attorney.
My comments regarding the connection to Tuscany stand. It's there because the ordinance requires us to connect to it. We are required to have two entrances, and we have two entrances. Again, we meet the code in all requirements. We also, your code requires that we have connectivity to undeveloped parcels. And as you see, both north and south, we have that same stub road that Tuscany did that we're utilizing for our second entrance, according to your code. So we're complying with the code for future development, both north and south. Those are pretty standard requirements for any community, for any subdivision ordinance, in your case, the UDO. I'm going to turn it to Doug to talk about the stormwater. There was a question regarding escrow. There will be no escrow. Your ordinance doesn't require an escrow. No community requires an escrow for what could be, I guess, future harm. What we do is we do the best we can as far as designing it. And your robust ordinance, and I can second that. It's a very robust, very stringent stormwater drainage plan. I represent developers in all of the cities and towns in Northwest Indiana, and this is the most demanding. And your stormwater engineer took 4 cracks at turning around, reviewing before we finally got his approval to come forward with the hearing tonight. With regard to the crosswalk, there is no traffic study. No traffic study is required for a subdivision under your ordinance. The crosswalk is not on our plans. It's not suggested by our plans. It is a recommendation or a suggestion by your staff report. And then the retention detention, that was kind of a slip of my tongue, but I'll let Doug clarify.
To clarify, I use the terms kind of interchangeably too, but typically a detention basin has a dry bottom. It doesn't hold water unless it's raining. The retention basin typically has water in it, has a normal water level, and then the water level fluctuates as it rains. All 3 of the basins in this subdivision are retention. They will have water in them. I also want to make sure everybody understands that we are putting in an entirely unique and separate storm sewer system. We are capturing all the runoff from our whole subdivision, taking it through the basins and into the existing waterways. We are not draining anything into Tuscany. We're not draining anything into Emerald Ridge. We're not using their storm sewers for any purposes. They're totally independent systems. I cannot speak to what was done in Tuscany years ago. I have no idea what's happening in Tuscany as far as drainage goes, but I know our water is not going into Tuscany.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna close the public hearing, turn it over to the board. Luther?
May I suggest that maybe we get back on track and focus simply on the design waiver first?
Sure. Okay. So the first case, I want comments on design waiver.
The sidewalk.
I have no problem with sidewalks.
No comments? Kevin?
No problem with them.
No problem, okay.
I did have.
Kevin,
Go ahead.
Honestly, I don't.
You had a problem.
I don't see there's an issue with giving the design waiver on the 100 West sidewalk.
On the sidewalk,
probably the best.
Right?
Yeah. When I first got here, I was looking at the sidewalk issue, and it kind of brought me to a subdivision called Tamarack in Chesterton. There's a couple, maybe developed 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. I've been in Chesterton 30 years. There was no sidewalk along, I don't know what road that is. Well, Chesterton starts connecting all their sidewalks, and lo and behold, it's county property. And now we don't have a sidewalk to get from the east to the west. So I guess what I'm saying is, what I'm worried about is, I know this kind of looks silly not to have a sidewalk here, but what I'm worried about is the 15 and 20 years down the road when this gets developed, and someone says, "Gee, why didn't they put a sidewalk in?" Because that's literally happened in my town and the subdivision right over from me. So that's where I have an issue with not having a sidewalk, which, as silly as it might look now, it might not look that way in 15 or 20 years. So, okay, my comment on the sidewalk issue. I will have other comments, right?
Yeah, great.
I'm going to piggyback on Red. I do have it. I think there needs to be a sidewalk there. I spent a lot of time on a different board, and the big word now is connectivity. And if we don't put a sidewalk in now, and the developer do it, then the county's gonna be on the hook down the road. I know trails, and I'm just telling you, they're $4 million a mile, and to hook the county onto that because we didn't do it now, I think is we're failing. The other thing I think I've read in some of these things is the previous, when they were talking about, I believe, Tuscany, the developer doesn't force to put a sidewalk in, and now the kids are on Heaven Road. Major failure. And that's a failure of, in my opinion, that should have been done. I do not want to fail in that same place.
May I comment?
You may comment.
The school corporation, when they built Haviland, extended the sidewalk to Tuscany down to 50.
Yes, you're fine. Okay, well, I'm just saying that.
But they built the
But
sidewalk
somebody had to pay for it.
to
It was not.
Tuscany. Sorry.
No, but you're fine. You got somebody back.
Yeah, yeah.
But my thing is, but
Thank
somebody had to come back and pay for it.
Exactly.
And it's when the developer finishes up, God bless them, they're going to go back to wherever they came from. The county's going to be on the hook for a sidewalk, and the density of this is crazy. I mean, it's what Center Township's become. Very dense. I don't know what's going to go on north of there. I don't know what's going to go on south there 20 years from now. But we need the long range plan. We can't think today. We have to think tomorrow. When's the best time to plant a tree? Yesterday. We have to plant a tree. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Bob.
My questions have been answered.
Commissioner.
I feel the same way. I think there should be a sidewalk because it will be a problem in the future, maybe even sooner than later. And it will become the county's problem at some point. It's happening all over. So I think with, doing a good plan in mind, I don't see a problem, that there should be a sidewalk in my opinion.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion?
Rick, if staff could maybe explain the staff report as well, because that did get brought up as far as the connectivity between Emerald Ridge and Sienna. If we could. Yes, because it was in the steps, the issue of the crosswalk. The reason I brought it up, if you look at the picture up there, that's the entryway to Emerald Ridge. And what they did was they put the sidewalks in just before they got to 100 West. They just circled. Same thing's going to happen over on the other side when Sienna gets put in. I find it hard to believe that people will just come to the end of the sidewalk and not cross 100 West somehow, some way. Therefore, staff recommended that that crosswalk go. I don't care if it's on the south side or the north side, just provide a crossing for the pedestrians across 100 West. Furthermore, we stated in our staff report that they should probably put a pedestrian activated flasher that when the pedestrians come up to the intersection on both sides of the road, they push the button, the flasher is activated, give a little more notice to the pedestrians there. So if you want to treat it as part of the design waiver, or you want to bring it back to the subdivision, that was staff's recommendation to bring clarity to that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion?
Do I motion that we grant the design?
I make a motion we deny the design.
Make a motion to deny.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion to deny and a second. Okay. It's ballot vote or? Yes. Could you repeat that, please? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They made a motion. Go ahead, make your motion.
Make a motion to deny the design waiver.
In other words, the sidewalk.
Right.
Motion to deny. You want? And you were second?
I was the second, yes.
You were second. So we got a motion and a second to deny.
These are the sidewalks.
These are for the sidewalks.
Walks parallel to 100.
There's two cases.
So early.
Yes. Yes means no.
Means, no.
The next one.
Yes means no.
Thank you.
have to have better handwriting.
Mine's scribbling.
I didn't know you had to read them. So.
I've got 3. I can't interpret your signature. Oh, this one I can't.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Who takes ownership? Signature.
It's not mine.
That's Red's, I bet.
It's yes, it's mine.
The other one's mine.
Mine. That's mine.
Hey, bring that one back.
Who's that?
There you go. Neat. Not mine.
In the case of DW 2025-16, Brightsky, yes. Gilliana, yes. Kenworthy, yes. Morales, yes. Stone, yes. Williams, no. Burns, yes. Motion passes 6-1.
Thank you. Everybody understand that design waiver was denied, so they had to put sidewalks in. If they were. Oh, the next case is MJ 2024-6. Want to just discuss that, Luther? The second case.
I'm sorry.
The second case. Any comments?
No, not at this time.
Kevin?
I think we need to do a little bit more review on the traffic situation, the traffic study, and what the issues are to see if we can satisfy the community at large. The problem we have is the attorney is correct. Part of the comprehensive plan is to have connectivity. That's why that was stubbed out. It wasn't with the intent to do harm, but thinking from the standpoint of public service and snow plowing, emergency service, and just having that access and connectivity to make sure we're all working together. Sadly, people do speed through some of these things, but they're going to speed regardless. But I think there's some ways to design traffic calming. And the other issue that was brought up, and I don't know, I didn't hear the attorney address whether it had a traffic study on 100 West.
No,
not required.
Yeah, it's not required, but we really didn't go through technical or development advisory review. That probably would have been one of the things we discussed. And that's why I suggest that maybe we take this back to development review and sit with the stormwater engineer and reflection of what we heard today. I think you'll be fine, but see if we can figure out some improvements.
I don't disagree with you, Brightsky.
That's a first.
That's not true.
I know.
It's not true. So the comment that I have is a traffic study is going to focus on County Road 100 West. Their concerns behind me aren't 100 West. It's the connectivity between the two developments.
Just trying to get the big picture.
Yeah, I understood, but I
understand that we would have discussed.
Again, I agree with you that perhaps more study is appropriate.
Okay, Red?
Okay, well, I did read all the emails, and I want to read one in particular. It kind of caught me, and it's actually by Lindy. You actually, but one of the couple paragraphs. While I understand that the street outlets were initially planned with future developments in mind, Heaven School wasn't part of the original plan. The construction of this has significantly changed our neighborhood in dynamic and increased foot traffic. We understand that growth is inevitable, but we urge the decision makers to consider alternatives to connecting these streets. We request sidewalk connections between the neighborhoods to allow their children to walk safely to school. So why I'm thinking about that is because when I looked at this originally, I went, wow, that's gonna be horrible. I mean, you have these people over in, I forgot this, Emerald, are going to be flying through this subdivision to get to school. Same with the proposed subdivision, and while our ordinance might allow that, things change. And one of the things that changed was Heaven School. If Heaven School was not there, the connectivity between Tuscany, this subdivision, and Emerald might not be that big of a deal. But now that Heaven's there, I think we have to rethink, the traffic pattern. And to me, just looking at it, having two entrances on 100, cutting off that entrance that I know it's in our ordinance, looks like I said, I'm not an engineer, but it looks like that would be something that would help alleviate all the traffic going to Heaven School. So that's my take on it.
I'm kind of with Red here. I know it would be very difficult to do a traffic study on a hyperbole, which going through that, that's where we're at. What it should have. But I would think there might be some consultants that could provide us with that kind of information or close to that information. I mean, traffic is, and as Red said, that looks like no good's going to come of that. So that's the part about the traffic, and that's what I'm concerned. But I'm concerned about traffic and people's way of lives and the better good. I know some of that I can't consider, but I can't stop myself. I do have a question about the storm drainage. When the storm drainage outlets, where is it going to outlet? There's no body. I don't see any creek north of this.
Yeah.
I don't see any.
There is.
I'm trying to see it. I don't see it, unfortunately. I keep looking, but where is it going to outlet to?
Just north of the north property line.
Where is that a ditch going?
Yes,
it's a block ditch.
Yeah, that's where it all goes.
That go from there. What does block ditch dump into?
That's Parker ditch, eventually into Saw Creek.
It's in the Lake Michigan watershed then?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm just curious how we're getting the water. I can't see it. Right. I know how we're getting
It's there.
You did mention something that kind of threw me. You said something about sump pits in the houses. Are we talking about an ejector pit that's municipally owned?
Some of the homes, not many of them, will be served by individual grinder pumps.
So they're going to
not municipally owned, privately owned by the homeowner.
They'll all be privately owned, pumping into a sewer.
Pumping into a common gravity sewer. So it's about 80%, 20%. 80% is a typical gravity sewer, and a small percentage up at the north end will have individual pumps. Very common in Brigada Hills. There's another subdivision in Valparaiso that has them. There's several subdivisions around here that utilize that system.
I'm just all right. I thought with that many houses on it, there would be more of like a lift station installed because of the
no, well, we discussed that with Valparaiso Utilities.
And they said you didn't.
They'd rather not have another municipal.
They would rather not because they have to maintain it.
Right.
That's their
so this puts it off on the homeowner.
Their cost is not my issue.
But it was
a functional sewage system.
It is functional. The problem is lift stations need a lot of sewage. Yeah. Yeah.
Well aware of
but to have one for 15 houses doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, I'm just asking.
That's why.
One of those things that.
Understood.
Okay.
I'm
finished.
Yep.
Okay. Bob?
I have no issue with the subdivision, but I do see connecting there. There's going to be a heck of a lot of traffic there, whether speed bumps would help or moving the entrance. That's where I'm at on that.
Commissioner?
I feel the same. I think the school changed the dynamic. I think I'm familiar with this area. This is South County, and I understand the ordinance. You have to have two entrances, but I'm not satisfied on the safety end of this. Even if one entrance was blocked off, and you had to bring fire trucks, emergency police through the other. You're going through an entire subdivision before you get to the other outlet, and I'm just not satisfied on the safety end of it.
I would like to say one more thing. I am in favor of the sidewalk joining the subdivisions together.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, great idea.
Good. I like that idea.
Well,
Can I ask a question?
sure,
I'm
go ahead.
curious. When did the ordinance change from one entrance to two entrances? Because I'm looking at Emerald Ridge and it looks like it's got more. Because is there one? Am I missing it? Because
Yeah.
in the picture.
90.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's a lot bigger than that picture.
Yeah.
It is.
No. Time out.
And Miss,
my comment is they meet the UDO 100%, but the school changed the whole area. I agree with that. It did. It did. I think this needs more review before we go further. I think it needs more review and maybe a traffic study because I'm concerned about kids going to school when they start. The parents, everybody drives to school anymore to take their kids with a high percent, and the cars will be backing up. I don't know how far, So, but I think it needs more review. That's just my comment. Do we have a motion or?
I just had a question. I have
no motion.
I just had one more, I would say, comment to you. While the traffic study might be great on 100, my concern is not 100. My concern is the 3 subdivisions. We're not going to get a traffic study until we get all the houses in that subdivision. So it's kind of going to be, I wouldn't say pointless, but unless we get that subdivision in, you're not going to get the full effect of all the traffic until that subdivision gets in. So
they could look forward.
That being said,
okay,
you look forward. Okay.
The analysis could be done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have existing and significantly because the arterial of 100 West, and I don't think that's well understood what we're dealing with at this time, especially in view of a cul-de-sac being built there. Years ago, I think there was a traffic study, but 30, 40 years ago, but we've got a new dynamic.
The only reason why I said that is I just don't want a traffic study to skew what, in my opinion, is common sense of having 3 subdivisions feet in the heaven.
My suggestion.
That was my comment when Mr.
Right
was speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, I 100% agree with you.
I've been down that road.
The focus is the connectivity. It's 100.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. My concern, we're on thin ice here because they beat 100% of the PUD. So I have to call on the county attorney. My suggestion is continue and do a review on this. Scott, you have any comments?
Mr. Leith?
So the law is, this is me representing my client, telling you what the law is. You've got your own.
Well, let me just say, we're in the position of we're in a ministerial act. We either meet the cookbook or we don't. That's my way of saying we have an ordinance, stormwater ordinance. When the petitioner gets to this point, this meeting is to decide whether all those I's and all those T's have been crossed. We find ourselves in the unique situation tonight where arguably they're meeting the code. We have an issue because we have the connection of the subdivisions. So ultimately, would the petitioner have a objection to a 30-day continuance in order to address this issue? No. So with that acquiescence, we are allowed to go ahead and continue the case.
And that's true. What I was going to say was we are not opposed to studying and having a continuance. But my legal opinion that I'm going to tell my client here in the next few minutes is we have met the code. We've answered all of the recipes that your ordinance requires. Connectivity, lot sizes, all of those things have been met. Stormwater, engineer review, check mark. So we comply 100%. You do not have discretion to say no. Your discretion was to say no on the sidewalk waiver. That was your discretion tonight. But with regard to and you said no. So now we have to build that sidewalk. So we comply 100% with the UDO. And the law is there is no discretion if that's in fact the finding. And you have a ministerial act to say yes, if that's the finding. Throw all of that out. My client doesn't want to hit you with a hammer. My client wants to work with you. And we're going to do that over the next 30 days to your next meeting and try and find that solution that might appease some of the folks here, maybe not all of the folks here, but address the elephant in the room, and that's the connectivity.
So Scott, may I ask a question real quick? Because I'm again, first meeting. I make no bones about this first meeting, but I always get kind of when someone says I have to do something. That's me. I'm and I understand your point, but I guess what I'm saying is, if I think, and say 3 people agree with me that there's a traffic issue, I understand our ordinance, I understand our UDO, I get that, but where does common sense play into this in our decision, Scott? Because if I think this is going to be an issue because the school just got built here, how can someone tell me I have to vote for something? I guess. Now, would that be the commissioners say, no, we don't like it? I mean, where does this go from here? I guess so I know my knowledge here.
Well, I think the easiest way to understand it is your authority. You're not being told tonight that you are being told tonight that the code says X and we have to follow the code. That feels as if the plan commission is powerless to say yes or no. The real issue is that this board is the advisory board of the commissioners that control the very statutes and ordinances that we may or may not be happy with tonight. So our authority, and just to follow the logic, this board sends recommendations of ordinances and code changes to the commissioners. Right. Commissioners are the legislative body, they pass it. Okay. Well, that's this board's real authority. So tonight, as we sit here, we're not in this situation because they've agreed to give us the 30 days to get there. But in this situation, our authority to change our minds happened when we didn't change the code. So if we don't like this particular circumstance, this is the time to bring it up. Is there the opportunity tonight, if in fact we got to a hypothetical situation and it rose to the level of health and safety or an actual significant provable issue, would we potentially have an argument? The answer is yes. But to be very clear, our authority is in what our ordinances say or don't say. If we don't like them after tonight, this may not be the exact example, but if we had something continually coming up or came up once and we didn't like it, this board has the authority and the duty to say, no, wait, I don't like this section. Let's go ahead and look at it. Maybe there's a recommendation to change it to go to the commissioners or not. But whatever is been approved by the commissioners at the time the application is originally made is the law for that project. And the logic is we're not allowed to see a project come in on an application and go run and change the rules. So when they come in and do their application, that sets the rules for that development.
Okay, I understand that. But again, if there's certain circumstances that
even if those certain circumstances would have to rise to a significant level to say no to a project that has met the dotted the I's and crossed the T's.
Because I do understand if the people out here, and this is what I'm hearing is, if they were, I don't want a subdivision because it's next to my subdivision. Hey, you know what? I have to do that. But when I look at when I truly believe it could be a safety concern, that's where I think I have,
And I think tonight's process is exactly how it's set up to work.
Okay, I just
get here. We have the public notice for a reason. The public notice isn't just to make the public feel, hey, we let you talk. It's to address these exact issues. They live there. They're the ones with the first-hand information.
Okay.
Well, that's why at these primary plats, that's why the public notice is given, to address issues like this. And we have a petitioner and council who recognize the issue, understand the traffic study is the very tool to tell us your concerns are right or your concerns are unfounded, and then the board can make a decision.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that.
With that having been said, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we continue this case until the next meeting. Thank you, Mr. Elite. Case MJ 2024-6, Haven Homes, Skiana, primary plat.
I second that.
You second that?
I second that.
We got motion in a second.
Continue.
Okay, well, okay. Is your question on the motion?
No, it's on what they're gonna come back with concerning the motion. Okay, no. Okay,
You
I'll-
don't,
I'll
yeah,
stop.
motion, motion on the table. We could do it. Okay, we have a motion and second. Ballot or vote?
Well, or you can do a voice vote if you wish.
Go ahead.
Okay, we'll do roll call. On the motion for case MJ 2024-6 to continue to the next meeting.
Continue.
Brightsky,
Yes.
Gilliana,
Yes.
Kenworthy,
Yep.
Morales,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
Okay. You have a question?
I have a question. When you come back to us, or when this, you make your decisions, we will get a different drawing
We don't know.
If we change it,
Don't know.
if
we don't know.
concerning the sidewalk.
Well, we're gonna have to put the sidewalk on the drawing. So, yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
The drawing with the sidewalk on it. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's
I'm
the answer.
gonna phrase it as we will meet your pedestrian network standard. I think it's how it's worded.
Mr. President, just for form of clarity, instructions to petitioner, staff did make a recommendation for the crossing of 100 West. I would like to include that in the evaluation when they come back next time.
Right.
Thank you.
I agree.
Okay.
You can do that.
All right. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and attention.
When they did this, did they not say that they couldn't use this back when they built the school? Did the school?
Oh, but that was. I thought that was.
Why, Doug?
No, I don't have a problem.
Just an update on the.
This is a little different.
Well, what's that? We got talk to our traffic. What limits he can order.
Maybe that's.
I have. Okay. Here's your
If the, I'm kind of hoping.
Yes.
So I got
It's still. Nobody has your.
Well, we'll first see if we can put it in the house. Oh, send them Mike Jabo, the director of the Department of Development. Oh, yeah. So for the next meeting, and let me, I don't know that they did say that filled out a report for the Department of Stormwater. Online. Kelsey Bradford, Stormwater.
And I know this.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that's what last staff reports.
J-Ball. J-E-E-O.
Yeah.
Give us a lead. Pardon?
Oh, I got dogs in that.
Hopefully the wife
And they did a school here, and didn't they say that they couldn't use that road right there?
Meet your ordinance.
Yeah, to get direct access to that.
Right there.
People ended up creating a sidewalk.
I'm talking about the road. There was a road there, right?
No.
That's the way out of it.
Right.
That is a simple question. If you got to develop, is willing to give up a lot. They have to give up a lot.
The road to Tuscany.
That's the simple thing. That's the simple thing in the world. But now we got to.
Okay, there's not a road there. That's the parking lot road.
What's going to happen if you have?
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they didn't have.
I didn't say that. Say, is there a road here?
Who are we going to sue?
No, just the driveway.
That's driveway.
Okay,
I was.
And this under the school bus.
Yeah.
And they
Aspects of it. I work for the department. I get what you're saying.
Was they were concerned that their busing get blocked off.
Yeah. This is not a real good deal.
Well, that was a fun one.
Two entrances here is not a real good deal. Because if something happens right there, you're dead. I wish you could
feel
go
in some communities, discussing the emergency access like we did in Everton.
Okay.
On the prairie, I think we called it. Yeah,
Are you saying you'd have two here with an emergency?
Okay, folks, we got other business to take care of.
We're all good on this.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay. Thank you. All right. I have to ask you later.
Hey, don't try and fight me. That recall.
Hey, how you been?
I know what you're doing. You're trying to drive your Cola, man.
Nice to see you.
Get two recorders, man.
Okay, folks. We're ready. We got other business. Okay. All right, here, right here. Thank you.
Gathered. Business.
I've got a code.
Mr. President.
Okay, folks, call the meeting back to order. The other business update on comprehensive plan. You can please close the door. Okay. Thank you. Okay, Mike.
Okay, some updates for you under other business. The update on the comprehensive plan, as you know, we signed a contract late last year with MKSK. They're doing a county-wide in the unincorporated areas of Porter County comprehensive plan, land use plan, as well as a thoroughfare plan. We've had many progress meetings since the first year. We are identifying people from the community representing different facets of life in Porter County, from agriculture to residents to education, medical, industry, service organizations, etc., to serve on what we call a steering committee. Steering committee will have roughly 22, 23 members. We'll meet with them 4 to 8 times this year to use them as a sounding board as we gather the information. For some of those of you who or in the audience, what the comprehensive plan and the land use does is it basically gets a pulse on the county on what they view life is in Porter County, how they'd like to see it grow, what areas need improvement. The last time the comp plan was done in 2001, so it's been 24 years since it was last done. It's long overdue. I would hazard to say that a lot of things that the residents and businesses held dear in 2001 will come up again, but we're not going to bias ourselves with our consultant. We definitely want to do it. We're planning not only to have meetings, I would call it a neighborhood, but a more global sense, across the county, as well as pop-up events at various festivals and things like that through the year, the Porter County Fair or events at the county park system. We're really keen, and they have a not a public relations, but a public, very robust public involvement process, and they have a consultant that will be doing that for us so we can get those comments. And this is a very long process. It'll take at least all of this year, maybe this time next year before we publish a document. We'll also have what I call more not technical, but more pinpointed committees, like in the agriculture community. We will pull a bunch of the people that represent agriculture together so that they all get to say something, or in the service sector or the industrial sector or educational sector. So it's a long process. It's not going to go quickly, but I think it's going to be a very good process so we can refresh our comprehensive plan as far as land use and thoroughfare planning, so that it becomes a guiding document for boards such as this, the Redevelopment Commission, and every other board that serves the county. So more information to come. We'll probably be making presentations to you on and off over the year as this thing progresses, but we're very excited that we're embarking on this. So if you got any questions whatsoever on what a comp plan is or what the expectations are, please ask.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another item is observation from the March 3rd training session of the Plan Commission and BZA.
So we had KK Gerhardt Fritz come. She came many years ago. Some of you have been on the commission boards before. I arranged it last year, but it was getting late in the year because we knew there would be new board members. We waited until after the first of the year. KK, we had the joint session of the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals on March 3rd. It was about a 2+ hour meeting. KK came in and had a slideshow and went over the roles and duties of each of the boards and what codes they must follow, such as the Indiana Code and hearing cases when it comes to zoning and things like that. That the BZA is a very judicial board. Doesn't even have political appointments to it. They're citizen members. And I think it was a very good presentation. Some of you could not make it, but we did record it. And we will post it on our website so you can listen to it, and we'll give you the slideshow presentation as well. But I did want to get some input from those that did attend the meeting.
Mike, I told you this before. There's not a lot of meetings I go to where I'm like, wow. I mean, it's meetings, right? They're boring. Honestly, I could have sat there for 3 hours. There was so many more questions that kind of what came up tonight that I would have loved to have asked her because she's a wealth of knowledge. So I actually shared her, I believe, with Austin Bonta too. So, they could get some training. I thought she did an excellent job. And
I did forward contact to.
Did you? Okay, thank you. I appreciate you setting that up. It was really valuable for me. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Kevin, any comments?
Yeah, KK is the right person for the job as the previous one and this one. I would suggest that this be a regular item, at least every 2 years.
Yeah.
Basically, because we see a change in board members, and many times they don't have any experience with planning or zoning, and even as someone who's been on boards for a long time, I appreciate what you can tell us. The statutes are constantly changing, so there's a lot to learn.
Yeah, I thought it was an excellent refresher course. It really did. I think everybody should attend it one way or another, either by video or paper copy. But I think it's very beneficial.
We had another meeting. She stayed the night, and then I had her 2+ hours the next day just for staff.
Okay.
And we, of course, did it at a more staff level of conversation. She had another slideshow for that. I think, especially our newest member here, Susan, our planner, got a lot out of it. So, one of the other things, Kevin, you talked about maybe doing it every couple of years, but things she rang true with me. If we got a light load meeting night and all that, suggestions she had, we can maybe spend the first 5-10 minutes. Us staff can bring presentations that for you to consider kind of like mini training sessions.
And there will be a quiz along with those two.
There will be a quiz, yes. Okay. That's our report.
That's it, Michael. Okay. Do we have motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Do we have second? Okay, we got motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, meeting is adjourned.
You.
I just. I just closed. Shall I open back up?
The comprehensive plan was on the agenda.
It's on agenda. Okay, I'm gonna open the meeting back up. There you go. Okay, your question?
Okay. This one's the one that works, right? Okay. So yes, like I said, I'm going to spare you a good portion of this, but this really does have to do with the comprehensive plan. So you did mention that it has not been. Liz, shut up, Mom.
Sorry.
Please, please present to the board too. Thank you.
Sorry. Yes. Okay. Yes, you mentioned that it's not been completed since 2001, so obviously it is 24 years old at this point. However, at that particular time, I believe our township, specifically Union Township, had a huge push on wanting to keep the zoning as residential and agricultural as possible. I believe Mike even mentioned that there was in a separate meeting that we had, forgive me if I'm incorrect, but I took it that we had our own zoning code that was actually created for us because our town was so adamant about staying agricultural. That being said, because we are due up for a new one, I just did want to say to my fellow Union Township members behind me, I won't look at you, but please come out to these meetings. If no one's going to come out and say what they want for our area, somebody else is probably not going to be what you want. So I know none of us want to take the time to do that, but it's important that our voices are heard and we understand what we truly want for our community. And my only other last thing is, my problem with the comprehensive plan being done with it is year, and that's great. But why are we talking about projects that shall not be named that are massively going to change our area when we will no longer have a say on how we want that zoning to be because it changes that zoning, and our voices will be silenced by then.
The only clarification I'll make is the comprehensive plan does not set the zoning. The comprehensive plan is the guiding document to the underlying. So the comprehensive plan, as it is revised and gone through this year, will not directly affect zoning in any township. That would take an additional step in a comprehensive rezone, not the comprehensive plan being up.
Okay, well, we would like to suggest area stay.
And I understand. I just wanted.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm not being argumentative. I'm trying to make it complicated, convoluted set of statutes make some sense. That's all.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. State your name and address, please.
My name is Kyle Duarte. I live at 409 North, 650 West. Obviously, heavily affected by these other projects that are not on the docket for tonight. As far as the comprehensive plan, you mentioned maybe 22, 23 members. My question, I guess, is how are those members being picked? And how do we ensure that my small township is fairly represented? I think obviously if you pick a person from Valparaiso versus Union Township, they're going to have very different opinions on how they would like to see their area or our area progress in the future. So I think it's important to just kind of have some clarity on how members from my actual township can be involved and how we can make sure that we're properly represented in that plan. I know our trustee's not here, hasn't came to the meetings. He's kind of supposed to be our voice, and so maybe we feel like we're not being represented there as some of us would like. So yeah, those would be my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
And maybe I could address some of those questions. When you say the steering committee is there, the steering committee is not the one making policy. We're still going out into the neighborhood and asking for input. So just to let you know, to clarify that. The steering committee.
I mean, that someone will be coming before, or how? What do you mean?
We're going to be advertising meetings, static meetings, as well as I said before, we're going to be at various events such as the Porter County Fair, pop-ups at like the Sunset Hill Farm. We're looking for a bunch of different places where people tend to congregate. So we'll also try to appear at all those events, but we are also going to send invites to everybody, to the public, such as yourself, in our media where we post meetings and everything else like that. So everybody will be heard.
Mr. Burns, if I may. George Topol is your township trustee, one of the better township trustees. He's very active, very interested in comprehensive plan. He's pursued it, kind of thought he could try it on his own, but it's a big.
I played soccer for him when I was 6 years old, so I've known him for 30 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a bad thing to say about George. I just think that our views on how Union Township should look 10 years from now, or maybe different. So that was just my point.
Okay.
And then, and like I said, he hasn't been here to really see how his township feels about this other large project coming. And without a comprehensive plan, we don't feel like we've been heard. So that was my point on it.
Sir.
Dan Hallman, Glenwood Hills, right off of 149. Okay, so regarding a comprehensive plan, I'm glad that this subject came up. I didn't know it was going to be on the agenda. I'm assuming a comprehensive plan is what kind of sets the agenda for the coming year or whatever years on how a county will be developed. Okay. All right. So one of the I expressed this yesterday. There's a couple things. First of all, Mr. Morales, you're one of the commissioners?
That's correct.
You're on the council?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Biggs is on two different committees that I'm aware of, the RDC, and he's also on the council, isn't he? Commissioner, that's right. Sure. And I understand that there's going to be 3 votes that will make or break certain initiatives, and that's it. I thought maybe you guys were going to vote, but it sounds to me like just those 3 are the ones that have like a make or break decision point. Maybe I'd be glad to.
I don't. There's no board with a vote on the comprehensive plan.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I'm talking about the things that come out of the comprehensive. Some of the initiatives that would entail that would require zoning changes and those type of things.
So if we finish the comprehensive plan and the plan commission that says based upon that we believe an area needs to be rezoned, and that would start here with a comprehensive rezone from the plan commission, and those individuals affected would be directly notified.
Okay, so as an unfamiliar citizen, I'm just trying to understand how the mechanics of all this is supposed to work. Okay, because it does have an impact on things that have yet to come, I would imagine. All right, so yesterday I also brought up some possibilities of some undue influences by outside considerations, special interest groups
on the comprehensive plan,
on everything in the on the comprehensive plan too, because
okay.
I believe that there's a lot of conversations that go on between business and some of these members of all of the Porter County and city politicians that help set the plan. For example, Valparaiso has this Build Valparaiso plan that they developed a while back, and I'm sure that they're working with interested parties to help develop that. Well, with all the overlap that I'm seeing between these committees, again, I'm expressing some concern that it's almost like there's almost like inside tracks going on between committees, and I don't understand why that's the case. They should be separate and distinct decision-making bodies so that there's no undue influence by one body with the other in developing the comprehensive plan. All right. So that said, I'd like to understand why that's the case, and also that there's some coincidental reassignments all of a sudden too that are happening, and I happen to know that some of the individuals that are participating in the government business here, that of the chairs and that type of things, have their own personal business interests that are linked.
I think we're getting
related to. Look, we know. You said a comprehensive plan. The development plan is important. The development. I'm talking about the plan, not the data center.
You're going to be invited. You're going to be invited. We're going to have meetings and communication.
Interests that are being pervaded via linkages of people to individual stakeholders or special interests. So I'm just want you guys to be aware that this is going to be coming out more and more. I'm going to shed some sunlight on everyone. I'm going to work on it. I've been working on it. Okay. And I know for a fact
Okay, other people may want to speak. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, anybody else want to speak?
You know what? You can strong arm. You can try to strong arm the group if you want. It's not going to work.
Thank you.
And the initiative will be
way past 2 minutes.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Name and address.
Name and address.
Mr.
I'm new here.
You're fine.
Good evening. My name's Andy Vasquez. I live in Morgan Township. A lot of you have seen me yesterday, more than once. I'm president of the Porter County Council. Mr. Duarte, this is toward the comprehensive plan and your concern. George Topple, when I'm done here, I give him a call and I tell him how many people were here and I let him know the flavor of the meeting as well. I talk with Mr. Stone. I also talk with Mr. Morales. We talk with each other so that we are constantly in the loop so we know how you guys are feeling. And I think we proved that yesterday, did we not? Yes. Okay, thank you. So understand this, Mr. Topple will know your concerns tonight because when I leave here, I'm going to bother and say, hey, George. Okay, so just in regards to the comprehensive plan, your voices will be heard. I will make sure of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, if you can only figure out how this goes.
Okay. Yeah, have another. Here you go.
Good evening, David Hyman, 242 Pixley Court. Like those before me, I'm not here to talk about a potential proposal that's going to negatively affect our kids and students in the schools. But I do have a comment and a question on, so I'll go both about the Haven Holdings LLC application or request, I guess, the second one. The comment that, or the question that I had was for the county attorney, and I'm sorry, I don't know the name, sir. Ask away. Okay. You made a comment after the continuation that this board has the, I don't want to say moral obligation, but the authority to go to the commissioners, who are the litigation branch, I guess, to change ordinances, create ordinances, and if this board is unhappy with the findings of that application, they could go to the commissioners and say, hey, we really think this ordinance or this thing should change. That's correct. Did I hear you when you were talking about that correctly?
The concept you're stating is correct. Your terms of art. We
okay.
From advisory plan commission to legislative body commissioners, this board has the statutory obligation to be able to hear and send recommendations on ordinances to the commissioners, the legislative body, for final passage.
Ordinances that already exist or new ordinances?
No
difference. No difference. Okay. And I think I heard you correctly that because because the application was already put in, they were able to go to the commissioners to request a change the ordinances, or is it can't be beforehand?
No. Let me restate that.
Yes, sir.
When an application is received by the Plan and Stormwater Department, the ordinances in effect at that moment are in effect for that project until the project is complete or denied.
Understood. And I lost my train of thought for the comment. Oh no, the comments I just wanted to say is I was really happy of this board's how you guys received the concerns of the owners of the homeowners that were in the neighborhood that was going to get directly affected by this potential project. You guys obviously are bound by the laws, and you have to say yay or nay, right, based on those particular sets of rules. But I'm glad that you all were questioning the common sense of this was not going to be safe for those kids. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello. My name is Melissa Reed. I'm Center Township, Valparaiso.
I'm not sure if this is the proper forum to ask, but what exactly is the procedure to enact a zoning change or category reclassification? Is it only via the results of the comprehensive plan, or is there another vehicle for that, whether public or what have
I'd be happy to send you the state statute that controls.
Okie dokie.
Thank you.
RF 2000.
Anybody else like to make a comment? Okay, with that, thank you.
I have one question that people ask me in the crowd. Can I ask a question? And I want to know too. The piece of paper that we fill out when we sign our name, it wasn't secret. You know, it wasn't like you read them out loud and said Redstone, yes. Why don't we just do a roll call? Is there a reason why we do? And I'm just curious. People ask me, and I'm like, I don't know.
Statutorily, if the case is challenged, we have to have written proof of the individual members' votes, which is why we have the voting ballot.
There you go. Thank you.
It's
that answered my question.
Okay.
Permanent record. Permanent record. Okay.
All right.
Every other board about it's just we do roll call. So. Oh boy.
Woo! Do we have a motion again to adjourn?
I have a motion. Thanks.
Second. Okay. Motion to adjourn. All those in favor to adjourn? Those opposed? No. Meeting's adjourned.
Sir. Your wife's getting patient. Thanks.
Maybe.